Here's what you can expect on NTV tonight.
Tonight, we kick off exposing the faces behind the firms cited as beneficiaries of the 1.7 billion shillings scandal at the Sports Ministry.
Also tonight, who do Kenyans say is the most corrupt leader?
Wengi wao ni wale ambao wamechaguliwa na raia.
Sasa nimechoka maneno ya kushindanga hapa kila siku kuambiwa ati most corrupt.
Anne Waiguru is fired up and fed up and says her gloves are out.
Nitasema kieleweke.
Also ahead, President Kenyatta and Raila Odinga asked politicians to wave goodbye to the rising wave of jitters.
There's a much deeper understanding between myself and the Honorable Raila Odinga.
Try to recapture the dreams of the founding fathers of our nation.
Coming up as well, the upcoming VAT on fuel is promising to dig into farmers' fortunes.
Serikali naye wakati mafuta wawache hii maneno kufinyia raia mpaka chini kabisa.
Kuna haja waanze kushughulikia maneno ya agenda 4 na mkulima anaumia.
And you can be sure your meal will cost you more.
NTV Tonight with Dennis Okari and Olive Burrows.
Welcome to the broadcast, and you can watch us live on the internet on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. That is NTV Kenya, and also online that's www.ntvkenya.co.ke/live. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Flora Atieno.
Parliament's Public Accounts Committee has summoned Sports Principal Secretary Kirimi Kabiria to explain the loss of 1.7 billion shillings meant for the World Under-18 Championship.
This is nearly half of the funds allocated for the tournament. Sean Cadavillis breaks down some of the outrageous and unsupported expenditures flagged by the Auditor General.
A major sporting scandal has now muffled the cheers that followed Kenya's successful World Under-18 Championship party. Half of the money released by the government for putting it together was allegedly stolen. According to the Auditor General, 1.7 billion Kenya shillings out of an allocation of 3.5 billion shillings was lost through single sourcing, undelivered supplies and a lack of documentation. 138 million shillings worth of pending bills are yet to be paid a year after the championship was held. The Auditor General questioned how 349 million shillings was lost through direct procurement against the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. Out of this amount, 60 million shillings was used for the procurement of taxi services from Pairwin Cabs, an amount that was 23.8 million shillings above the market rate. The same company was paid another 30.8 million shillings for dry cleaning and laundry services by the local organising committee. This was paid under Sports Kenya. The organising committee did not also provide documentation to support another 204 million shillings expenditure. This amount included 70.5 million shillings paid to sports marketing company Intermanagement Group, despite having not placed an advert for the request of proposals and an evaluation report. There were also no documents to show Protel Studio were paid some 67.5 million shillings for media agency services. Protel Studio was also in focus for being one of the companies that won contracts despite using expired tax compliance certificates. Another 3.3 million shillings was paid to Safaricom for the supply of mobile phones. However, there's no list of officials who received the phones. The phones were also not availed for audit verification. The committee also paid some 11 million shillings to Ramji Haribai Davani Limited for the supply of petroleum products. However, the agreed discount of 4 shillings and 25 cents on the energy regulatory unit price was not passed on to the local organising committee, despite it being in the contract. The auditor also questioned why the committee bought fuel in bulk, yet they had hired buses, minibuses, vans, saloon cars and luxury cars which drew fuel. 130 parking lights worth 3.6 million shillings were installed in efforts to spruce up the stadium ahead of the tournament. They were, however, stolen after the event. The auditor found no evidence to show the lights had been replaced or restored, even though the theft was reported to the Kasarani Stadium police. This is the latest scandal to have hit the sports ministry, following hot on the heels of the Rio Olympics debacle, where issues from missing kits, overinflated air tickets and joyriders overshadowed Kenya's success on the track in 2016.
Off they go.
The auditor's report comes just a month after the IAAF handed Kenya the rights to host the 2020 IAAF World Athletics Under-20 Championships. And this followed what was, on the surface, a largely successful World Under-18 Championships, with a record 60,000 fans thronging the Kasarani Stadium on the final day. Sean Carter-Villas, NTV.
Now let's break down the details of that report by Auditor General Edward Ouko, and he says that 1.7 billion shillings scandal that has rocked the sports ministry pointed out that at least 12 companies benefited from this irregular or illegal payments from the organizing committee.
Some of these companies had been blacklisted for tax evasion, while others were single-sourced contrary to procurement laws. Silas Apollo has a list of some of them.
Away they go, first time now.
The Under-18 IAAF tournament was perhaps one of the most successful sporting events of international stature to be held in the country. But that legacy is quickly losing the shine, if details of pilferage of public funds as contained in a report by the Auditor General Edward Ouko are anything to go by. The report detailed at least 12 firms which it says benefited from contracts and tenders before, during and after the tournament, but were either illegally contracted or at worst, even in the government's black book. This notwithstanding the fact that some did not provide proof of the services they rendered, even after payments totaling to tens of millions of shillings were advanced to them.
As a country has in many...
Another 6 had been blacklisted by the taxman for failing to pay taxes, with 3 out of the 6 flagged for submitting expired tax compliance certificates. Ouko says that the local organizing committee, through the Ministry of Sports, Culture and Arts, incurred expenditures totaling 204 million shillings, which were not supported with relevant supporting documents. These were contracts awarded to companies like MS Protel Studios, MS Intermanagement, MS Bonfide Group, MS Northern Resource Development Agencies, Toyota Kenya, Crown Motors Group and MS Turner Printers and General Agencies. The 7 were paid a total of 204 million shillings without proof that they rendered the services for which they had been contracted. The organizing committee further entered into several contracts with entities that were not tax compliant, in contravention of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015. Some of those identified by Ouko include MS Prowat, which provided outdoor lighting and screen installation at a cost of 16 million shillings, MS Fire Sense Limited, which supplied uniforms at a cost of 1 million shillings, and After SRL, which provided online registration, accreditation and access control services at a cost of 2.5 million shillings. Others were MS Protel, MS Cloudaria, which supplied ICT equipment, and MS Fragile Enterprises, which provided stationary services. They all earned a sum of 73.4 million shillings.
The report by the Auditor General is an indictment of the Sports Ministry, a reputation it may find hard to rebuild ahead of yet another international event set to be held in the country in 2020. Silas Apollo, NTV.
Now, on that note, and in light of many other corruption stories, ODM leader Raila Odinga says Kenya is among the most corrupt countries in the world.
Raila has also singled out the judiciary as one of the institutions having been greatly affected by corruption.
NTV's Sharon Baranga reports.
Recent revelations of corrupt dealings in government have only served to heighten public anger and debate on the vice. ODM party leader Raila Odinga and former parliamentarians did not shy away from the topic during the Moving Beyond the Handshake conference that took place today.
We are the most corrupt country on the continent. We are now fighting with the Super League of corruption. With the countries like Nigeria, like Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nicaragua, some of the most corrupt countries. That is where Kenya is, in Super League of corruption.
George Soros, one of the billionaire philanthropists, talks about no country can be zero rated in corruption. It's just like inflation. But you must keep it within controllable limits. In Kenya, it has gone out of control. We must talk about it.
Negative ethnicity and corruption are some of the issues brought to the fore at the conference that are threatening to tear the national fabric as well as bring the economy down to its knees. Some of the leaders present pledged to help the government in the fight against corruption.
The police are some of the most corrupt. Every year when TI produces their report, police is ranking up there. Yes, there is even an oversight commission with members. extrajudicial killings abound still today here in the country. You have independent judicial commission. The judiciary is still fairly corrupt.
The leaders also addressed controversies that seem to always pop up with each general election that have often led to loss of lives. The challenge of achieving free and fair elections from party politics to national level, a critical point for the ODM leader.
The election should not be wars among people. We can transform this to have a civilized process of having elections which are civilized.
5 years down the road, when we lost the opportunity to bring Kenyans together, we lost over 1,000 people.
The theme of this conference was Towards National Healing and Reconciliation, under the slogan, One People, One Nation, One Destiny.
And if you ask me today, I cannot honestly understand what is going on at IEBC. And if this is the engine, this is the body that is charged with the responsibility of delivering a credible, open, transparent, free and fair election, then God continue to help Kenya.
The conference was organized by the National Cohesion and Integration Commission and the National Hospital Insurance Fund, which also made a presentation on a special medical cover targeting former parliamentarians and their families. Sharon Baranga, NTV.
Deputy President William Ruto is considered the most corrupt individual, according to a new research poll by research firm Ipsos Synovate.
The report, whose findings were released today, ranked the Deputy President at 33%, followed by Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru at 31%.
The Deputy President has, however, dismissed the report as cooked and part of what he calls a libelous crusade by shadowy sponsors to discredit him due to the 2022 succession.
Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru says she will sue Ipsos and has accused the pollster of playing politics.
Ipsos says a majority of Kenyans believe that corruption is the most serious problem facing the country today.
NTV's Mel Miendo with the details.
Deputy President William Ruto has seemingly been in the public glare for all the wrong reasons. This time, his name appears not once but twice in a report by research group Ipsos Synovate conducted between 25th July and 2nd August 2018 among 2,000 adults across 45 counties. According to the report, 33% of Kenyans think the Deputy President is the most corrupt political leader, while Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru follows closely at 31%.
Most Kenyans consider that corrupt people cannot be good leaders. Yet most public figures associated, whether correctly or incorrectly, with current corruption scandals are elected officials, with many of them having achieved electoral success even after their names were linked through media reports to such scandals.
However, a statement from the DP's office has rubbished the findings as politically instigated. The statement says, and I quote, "At a time when people are so desperate that they want to amend the constitution to bar the Deputy President from running for presidency, it should not shock anyone that a survey like this would be concocted." Sentiments echoed by Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru.
It's very unfortunate also that Ipsos can be used by other parties to advance an agenda. And I will say to Ipsos, shame on you. Shame on you for pushing an agenda you know very well that is political.
The National Youth Service scandal broke out in 2015 when the saga of misappropriation of billions of public money began with the then Devolution Cabinet Secretary Anne Waiguru. The Ipsos poll says that the NYS scandal is a major corruption scam in the Jubilee government, according to 66% of Kenyans.
Immediately, some senior people now being investigated for corruption are prosecuted, are convicted, and are jailed and or fined. This number on the left will change, and Kenyans will get more confidence.
I have never been taken to court because of any matter regarding corruption. So you cannot come and say I am the most corrupt.
According to the Ipsos poll of individuals connected to corruption scandals under the Jubilee government, 58% of Kenyans mention Anne Waiguru, while William Ruto forms a 19% majority. Former Kenya Power Managing Director Ben Chumo is at 13%, with Lilian Omolo and the Ngirita family at 7% and 4% respectively. Nevertheless, Deputy President William Ruto's statement is adamant on agreeing with any findings from Ipsos Synovate. The statement reads, and I quote, "We must be careful not to mislead Kenyans with faulty or fraudulent statistics, even for mundane purposes. We must resist a culture of cooked surveys, manipulated data and stage-managed findings."
Sasa nimechoka maneno ya kushindanga hapa kila siku kuambiwa ati most corrupt.
According to surveys done by Ipsos Synovate from 2013 to 2018, only 3 times did Kenyans have optimism by the leadership. The first time was in 2015 when President Barack Obama, former president, was in the country, with Kenyans expecting that some good will come from it. The second time was in the August 2017 general elections, with Kenyans hoping that there will be great leadership. The third and last time was in March 2018 after the handshake with President Uhuru Kenyatta and NASA leader Raila Odinga. Mel Miendo, NTV, Nairobi.
Still on corruption, Embakasi North Member of Parliament James Mwangi Gakuya has been arrested over a corruption-related case.
The legislator was arrested and grilled by detectives from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission.
The arrest has to do with alleged misuse of 40 million Kenya shillings CDF funds, and Mwangi faces questions about several road companies that allegedly belong to his family and whose accounts he is allegedly a signatory to.
This is the second time that the MP has been arrested on similar grounds. In 2015, he was arraigned on charges of fraudulently selling property to former Makadara MP Benson Mutura.
Mutura claimed he had been conned of 7 million shillings for a plot of land.
To the courts now. The Anti-Corruption Court has issued warrants of arrest against 12 directors of limited companies that allegedly obtained millions of shillings from Kenya Power by irregularly getting pre-qualified for labor and transport services.
This and more in our wrap of ongoing court cases in the fight against corruption. NTV's Charity Mwangi with the details.
The warrants of arrests were issued because of failure by the accused to attend court sessions. Among those affected by this order includes Jacqueline Wanjiru Mbaria, John Waweru Kang'ethe, Lynette Njeri Ndama and Esther Nyambura, who are the directors of Touchline Electrical, Wachema Investment and Petsas Investment Limited, respectively. And in the case against Sirisia MP John Waluke, a warrant of arrest against businesswoman Grace Wahungu, charged alongside Sirisia MP John Waluke and Erad Suppliers Limited, is still in force. Confirming the warrants, trial magistrate Lawrence Mugambi postponed the pre-trial conference scheduled for today. This was to allow the investigating officer to arrest the suspect. Wahungu has not presented herself to court to take a plea in the corruption case brought against her. They are accused of uttering false document and fraudulent acquisition of public property. The Sirisia MP was charged with fraud in a case involving the National Cereals and Produce Board and a company by the name Chelsea Freight Limited. The 213 million shilling corruption pre-trial case involving former Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero and 10 others will be mentioned on September 6th. The prosecution has ordered EACC to supply the accused with witness statements by August 29th. Kidero and 8 other individuals were arrested by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission officers on August 9th and grilled at Integrity Center. Kidero was charged with bribery, conflict of interest, and failure to protect public funds. Homa Bay County Assembly Clerk Bob Kefas was today arrested while attending court proceedings where 5 people were arraigned on corruption-related charges. A warrant of arrest has been issued against Kefas, but he never surrendered to the police, only to resurface today in court. Meanwhile, Homa Bay Majority Leader Michael Owino, Minority Leader Isaac Nyadenge, and Senior Accountant Caroline Sang were released on a cash bail of 2 million shillings each and a bond of similar amount. The 5 were arrested by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission last week over the loss of 26 million shillings in Homa Bay County. Charity Mwangi, NTV.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has warned those politicizing his famous handshake with opposition leader Raila Odinga, saying the handshake had a deeper meaning for the benefit of the country.
Uhuru insists that the ultimate aim of the handshake is to build a stronger, united and cohesive nation.
President Uhuru Kenyatta, accompanied by Deputy President William Ruto and opposition leader Raila Odinga, attended the 40th anniversary memorial service in remembrance of the founding father of the nation, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, held at the Holy Family Basilica here in Nairobi. The politics of the March 9th handshake took center stage, with President Uhuru Kenyatta warning leaders against politicizing his historic March 9th handshake with Raila Odinga.
There is a much deeper understanding between myself and the Honorable Raila Odinga. A much deeper understanding. An understanding that is driven by a desire to ensure that we leave this country much stronger, more united, more focused than it has ever been.
Opposition leader Raila Odinga says the Building Bridges initiative was carefully thought out with the president, and it is in line with the spirit of the nation's founding fathers.
Try to recapture the dreams of the founding fathers of our nation. Unite our people. And that's the meaning of the handshake. And that is saying we are building bridges to cross River Jordan to enter the Canaan, all of us as all Kenyans.
But what we are committed to is that politics will never again drive our country to bloodshed, destruction of property, and animosity amongst our people.
Before the memorial service, the president led his family members, including Mama Ngina Kenyatta and First Lady Margaret Kenyatta, in laying wreaths at the mausoleum of the former head of state at Parliament grounds. The memorial service cum Eucharistic celebration has been observed every year by sitting presidents ever since the death of Mzee Jomo Kenyatta in 1978. Vincent Odur, NTV.
The Third Way Alliance Party has faulted the work of the task force on the Building Bridges initiative. The party says the task force formation did not follow the constitutional procedure and since its inception has not been serving the public interest.
The party says that the Building Bridges initiative by President Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga so far has failed to deliver on its purported roles. The party's findings indicate that the task force has only been duplicating the work of already existing constitutional commissions.
The Third Way Alliance says that instead of pumping money into the task force, the money should instead be used to strengthen other commissions with clearly defined roles to enhance their capacity.
Well, the Ekuru court-led alliance says the task force has not been of any significance to Kenyans despite the good intentions of the handshake. The party is calling for the de-gazettement of the task force to save Kenyans unnecessary financial losses.
We take a short break now, but don't go anywhere. We're coming right back. Welcome back. The increase in fuel costs in the country have continued to elicit reactions from Kenyans, a majority of them expressing their displeasure. Farmers in the North Rift now say the increase will further deepen the cost of production, eating into their profits.
Agriculture is among key sectors in the country which heavily depend on fuel. Here in the North Rift, farmers have received news of the planned increase in fuel costs with shock.
Tunatumia sana tinga kulima kila kitu, hata kuweka spraying yote tunatumia mafuta.
Elias notes that fuel is among the most important factors of production in his farm. He is a worried farmer now and says he worries he may not tend to his wheat crop adequately owing to high fuel costs.
Bei ambaye tunatumia kuproduce haitakuwa ni sawa na vile tuna expect kupata mazao ya hizi mashamba zetu.
Titus Kosgei, a maize farmer, now says he is disappointed by the government. He wonders how the president will achieve his Big Four agenda, which has food security as an item, yet the business of farming in the country continues to attract high production costs by the day.
Hakuna haja waanze kushughulikia maneno ya agenda 4 na mkulima anaumia. Siwache maneno ya mkulima kwanza ashughulikie maneno ya mkulima ndio tuanze maneno ya agenda 4.
Some farmers like Samson Kiplagat have opted out of mechanized farming to cushion themselves against tough financial times in the country. He takes me through his millet farm where he depends on manual operations to cut costs.
Naomba tu nyinyi wa Kenya wenzangu tu change mind. Na serikali naye wakati mafuta wawache hii maneno ya kufinyia raia mpaka chini kabisa.
Tukiambia kwamba tupande avocado ambaye inachukua 5 years iwe tayari. Mimi nikiwa na mwanafunzi ambaye ataenda form 1 next year. Hiyo avocado itasaidia.
David in his 50s has supported his life and that of his family through maize farming. With the recent increase in fuel costs, David says the going is bound to get tougher. His greatest disappointment, he says, is what he considers a leadership with wrong sense of priorities who would rather give millions in harambes.
Hiyo harambe ya milioni 1,200 na kadhalika kila weekend. Hiyo ni pesa, mimi naweza ona ya kwamba pesa hiyo pengine hata haikutoka mali sawa. Because hiyo pesa wange convert itusaidia wakulima.
On our visit here on this day in the county of Elgeyo Marakwet, we did get an opportunity to interact with a majority of residents here, many of them expressing deep concerns that poverty levels are slowly on an increase here, noting that farming has become such an expensive venture for them, with the latest being the just introduced new tax on fuel. Luis Wangoi, NTV, in the county of Elgeyo Marakwet.
The Ministry of Health says it has partnered with investors to ensure HIV patients access much-needed drugs. But even with easier access to drugs, the country is still grappling with how to get more Kenyans tested and know their HIV status. This, the ministry says, is the biggest impediment to achieving the UNAIDS set goals on HIV testing and treatment.
The medical fraternity gathered to unveil new guidelines for HIV testing and treatment in the country and to review whether they were aligned with international set standards. In 2014, the Joint United Nations Programme on HIV and AIDS, UNAIDS, and partners launched the 90-90-90 targets. The aim was to diagnose 90% of all HIV-positive persons, provide antiretroviral therapy for 90% of those diagnosed, and achieve viral suspension for 90% of those treated by the year 2020.
With that, then, we can liberate communities and channel them back to the Ministry of Health and make sure that we deliver on the 90-90-90 targets in 1.5 years' time.
With about 50,000 HIV-related deaths reported in the country, the ministry believes that the key to dropping these numbers is via testing. This will expectedly reduce new infections by 75%. The mortality rate is expected to come down by 25%.
If we adopt a targeted approach that considers the locations and risk profiles of the population, we will avert 1.1 million new infections and 760,000 deaths.
The ministry says to achieve the 2020 goal, it will partner with various organizations to build the capacities of healthcare workers, to equip them with skills to offer critical services such as voluntary medical male circumcision as a preventive strategy among men. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
We are taking another short break, but business news will be coming up next with Dan Mwangi.
Good evening and welcome to NTV Business. I'm Dan, but we're just getting started. Now, sugarcane farmers have expressed mixed feelings regarding the government's plan to reintroduce zoning in the sugar belts. While many say they want a free market, a few others say that zoning might be good for the industry as it will create a level playing field for both private and public millers. Zakis Masame reports.
The Agriculture Minister, in consultation with the Agriculture and Food Authority, AFA, and the county governments in the sugar belts, met to discuss challenges facing the sugar industry and how to make cane farming great again. The meeting yielded several recommendations, among them the reintroduction of cane zoning. They also recommended that outgrower companies be revived to focus on the interests of the farmers. But not everyone is applauding these proposals.
Zoning amounts to enslaving sugarcane farmers to a miller who becomes the owner of the sugarcane farmer who is a slave.
Lakini saa hii ukisema tunafanya zoning, ari wakulima wa hii area hii ni Nzoia. Kama Nzoia haiwezi kuwalipa pesa, watauza wapi ile miwa yao? Sisi tunataka ile uhuru wa soko.
Those in support say that this is the only way to restore order in cane farming, which has lacked clear regulations for years, leading to what they call rampant cane poaching, mostly from private millers.
Whether you like it or not, we have to go zoning. Full stop.
Tuwe na mambo ya zoning ili sisi tuweza kuprotect miwa yetu. Wakifanya serikali ikifanya zoning, itasuia wizi wa miwa. Wakiweka zoning, itasaidia ili kampuni ikikata miwa ikiwa imechelewa itapewa penalty ya kulipa mkulima.
The proposed regulations of 2018 also want that the county governments to offer extension services on sugar production and primary processing, as well as issue licenses for sugarcane nurseries, harvesters and transporters.
Zoning is everywhere. Go to India, they are number 2 in the production of sugar. They are operating on the same model.
The public companies invest a lot in farmers.
in ensuring that the farmers have the seedlings, in ensuring that the farmers have fertilizer, in ensuring that the roads that lead to those farms are passable. So they invest a lot. Now what has been happening is that the farmers does that, and then when now the time comes, because there is a delay in payments, then the private millers come and take the sugarcane from these farmers. Where do we expect, how do we expect these public entities to recover the costs they have invested in?
The new regulations stipulate that Agriculture and Food Authority, AFA, in consultation with the respective county government, shall from time to time review the mill command zones, and that no other new sugar project will be allowed within an area already assigned to another miller. Zakis Masame, NTV.
Tullow Oil has confirmed that it will resume operations tomorrow, that is specifically trucking oil from Turkana to Mombasa. This is after a 56-day standoff between local communities and the oil explorer, costing the country hundreds of millions of shillings in losses. Tullow says it has completed loading its trucks in readiness to resume transport after a deal was struck early in the month with Petroleum and Mining Ministry and local leadership. The National Bank of Kenya is counting on its main shareholders, that is the National Treasury and the National Social Security Fund, NSSF, for recapitalization to firm up its lending ability after it lost more than 83% of its core capital in a year. The troubled lender's core capital shrank from 10.19 billion shillings in June 2017 to 1.73 billion shillings in June this year, even as it slid into a 282 million shillings half-year to June loss from a 179 million shillings profit. In March, the bank said that the two main shareholders, with a combined shareholding of 70.5%, had agreed to recapitalize it with 4.2 billion shillings within 6 months. However, the capital injection is yet to happen, with less than 40 days left to the 6-month period pledge. It's now official, Monsanto does not exist anymore. Following the $63 billion takeover by Germany's Bayer in early June, the two companies have started integration and the Monsanto name effectively dropped. The company is now going by the name Bayer Crop Science, and the Kenya office says while this transition is not expected to disrupt any of Monsanto's activities in the country, the Monsanto legal entity will still remain for a while before being integrated. Already, a number of assets have been divested in the world's largest chemical producer, BASF, as per the requirements of the United States Justice Department. I was done at the beginning, and I'm done now, and so is business. Good night.
Welcome back. The Law Society of Kenya, the Kenya Human Rights Commission and Power 254 are demanding for the release of Uganda's Robert Kyagulanyi, popularly known as Bobi Wine, from incarceration.
This amidst the clashes that have happened in Arua region in northern Uganda between the ruling party and opposition supporters during Arua municipality by-election campaigns. They are asking the government of Kenya to stand with them in solidarity, as this is a violation of human rights.
They have called for a nationwide demonstration which will kick off tomorrow.
The political unrest in Uganda has not gone unnoticed in neighboring states. To the contrary, it has drawn a lot of attention. Members of the Law Society of Kenya have now spoken against the egregious acts of human rights violation that have been witnessed in Uganda.
Also a leader of positions in this country.
The bodies demand for justice as they allege the person in question, Kyagulanyi, popularly known as Bobi Wine, with his counterparts, were unlawfully arrested, as the issues surrounding the arrest are still not clear.
The circumstances under which Honorable Kyagulanyi was arrested and charged before a military court in Gulu on 16th August leaves a lot to be desired. Security officers allege that they found firearms in his hotel room, allegations which has been refuted by the hotel management.
It has been reported that the arrested suspects were tortured and could require medical attention.
They have corroborated claims of torture and other ill treatment. His wife in her statement raised concerns about his deteriorating health condition and confirmed that no independent doctor has been allowed by the military to treat Honorable Kyagulanyi.
They are demanding the democratic rights of the Ugandan citizens to be adhered to, as Uganda has breached the code of conduct of international law, such as Treaty for the Establishment of the East African Community. They further condemned the use of force by the military against the protesting citizens.
We are also concerned by actions of the security forces in using excessive force in dispersing anti-government demonstrators, seeking the release of detained politicians in various parts of the country, mostly Kampala, where security officers have fired live ammunition at crowds, causing loss of life and maiming innocent civilians.
They are now calling upon the government of Uganda to launch a thorough and impartial investigation and respect the people's rights. They further want support from able Kenyans on this campaign dubbed Red Campaign.
We are calling on our members to engage in a week-long Red Ribbon campaign to show solidarity with those people in Uganda who have been subjected to human rights violations, and to insist that respect for the rule of law must be adhered to in all the countries in the region. We are calling upon members to join us for a march that we are going to have tomorrow, Thursday, 23rd.
They are also calling upon the government of Kenya to intervene. Helen Aura, NTV.
Power 254, together with other Kenyan artists, held a concert in solidarity with the Kyagulanyi Bobi Wine.
This is in light of the recent arrest and alleged torture that went down in Uganda, and so the arrest of Bobi Wine. They shall hold demonstrations at the Ugandan High Commission demanding for his release.
The president of the Students' Organization of Nairobi University, Sonu, stated that they will also take part in the demonstrations tomorrow to show that they stand with the people of Uganda against acts of human rights violation.
Naisaidi influence my mind na wine na spirit instead na Sometimes is a joke ni sisi zina kejeli na I fight that najichunga na mtu jembe but kwangu kalamu ndio mwiko nikianza kuandika.
Staying with Uganda, Kampala Archbishop Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga has condemned the manner in which the Ugandan government is handling the country's security situation.
This as prayers were held at Lubanga Cathedral in Kampala for the MP for Chadondo East, Robert Kyagulanyi, and several other people with whom he was arrested in Arua municipality last week.
This happened as the campaigns for the parliamentary by-election came to a close. The service was attended by politicians, artists and friends of those in custody.
NTV's Solomon Kawesa reports.
By 1 p.m., friends, relatives and fans of Kyadondo East MP Robert Kyagulanyi had gathered at Lubaga Cathedral in Kampala for a special mass in honor of the legislator and several other people arrested in Arua last week. Among those charged with treason is the MP-elect of Arua Municipality, Kassiano Wadri. The church was filled to capacity, with scores of people sitting on the floor or standing outside. The main celebrant, Reverend Father Joseph Mary Sebunya, condemned acts that go against the rule of law.
We call upon the people of Uganda, whatever their rank and race may be, to refrain from violence. I also call upon the government of Uganda to respect and protect the rights of Ugandans.
He prayed for peace to prevail.
Buli omu yesseemu ekitiibwa ekimusaanidde. Tokola ebyo binaakujolongesa. Tokola ekyo kinaatabangula ddembe lya munno oba ery'abalala.
Sebunya also delivered Archbishop of Kampala Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga's message in which he disapproved the manner in which government is handling the current situation in the country. The congregation lit a special candle for the freedom of those who were arrested. Barbara Kyagulanyi said her husband urgently needs professional medical attention. He faces charges of illegal possession of firearms and will return before the Army Court-Martial on Thursday.
Omwami wange waali bandi mujjeewo ne bamuwa obuyambi n'afuna eddwaliro kuba kye yeetaaga ku ssaawa eno.
And when Mass was ended, some people commented on the happenings.
There must be a period in the transition for inquiring into what caused these injuries, have justice, a process of justice, and reconciliation.
The malignant, malodorous, acrid, fetid,
and obnoxious nature in which you are treating our young people, especially these that have come forward to fight the common cause afresh. The President of the Republic of Uganda should be warned. This is not a battle against him. It is a battle for Uganda.
Solomon Kawesa, NTV Kampala.
We take a short break now, but coming up, Dennis.
Sports. Time now for sports. Gor Mahia thrashed Sofapaka 3-0 in a Kenyan Premier League clash at the Narok Stadium to go 20 points clear at the top of the table, needing just 1 point in their next match to seal a record 17th title. Kogalo got their goals from Joachim Oluoch, who netted the opener 2 minutes to the halftime whistle before Innocent Wafula doubled the lead on the 63rd minute. Samuel Onyango then sealed the win 6 minutes to stoppage time to see the 16-time record Kenyan Premier League champions open a massive 20-point lead at the summit ahead of second-placed Bandari. Gor next face bitter rivals AFC Leopards on Sunday in the second leg of the Mashemeji Derby. In other news, the Kenya Under-17 team was bundled out of Sekafa Under-17 Championships after they were humbled 4-2 by Ethiopia. Sony Sugar tactician Patrick Odhiambo has been awarded the Fidelity Insurance Coach of the Month award for July. The immediate former Chemelil Sugar head coach beat Bandari's Bernard Mwalala to become only the second winner of the award from the club since its inception 3 years ago. Sony Sugar collected the most points in July after beating Sofapaka, Nzoia Sugar and Mathare United, but lost to AFC Leopards by a solitary goal. Meanwhile, Bandari played one match less in July, winning 2 games and drawing 1. Odhiambo jumped ship from Chemelil to Sony mid-season. Golf Park-based professional David Waku produced a brilliant round of course, a record 6 under par 65 to claim the first leg of the inaugural Safari Tour at the Nyali Golf and Country Club course on Wednesday. That gave him a 4 rounds total of level par 284, beating the long-hitting Dismas Indiza by 3 shots to take home the 150,000 Kenya shillings prize money. During the final round, Waku set off with an eagle 3 at the par 5 first hole and added a birdie to close the front 9 on -3 despite dropping a shot on the tricky 9th. On the back 9, Waku made birdie on the 10th and 11th holes, had 5 pars through to the 16th hole, birdied the par 5 17th and closed with a par at the shot 18th for a comfortable win over the match senior Indiza, who had led in round 3.
It's been really a tremendous week as being hosted here. We've really enjoyed ourselves. And looking at my game, it's just simple. What I'm going to say is that I had a very nice caddy.
Following a year's absence in 2017, Africa's premier rugby tournament, the Safari Sevens, returns this year on the weekend of the 9th to 11th November. The event will return to its traditional home at the RFUEA grounds on Ngong Road after 7 years at the Kasarani and Nyayo stadiums. Invitations have been sent out by the Kenya Rugby Union to the national teams of Portugal, Namibia, Ireland, Wales, urging Box, Spain, Uganda, along with the Blue Bulls, Samurai, University of Joburg and Western Province clubs. Kenya Sevens are the Safari Sevens defending champions courtesy of their win in 2016 where they beat Samurai 38-21 at the Kasarani Stadium.
We did not anticipate that Kasarani would not be so appealing to the average rugby fan. So for us is to last year we also didn't have the Safari Sevens because of the political situation. So for us this year, the aim of really bringing it back to the RFUA is so that we can rekindle our relationship with our fans and rugby lovers. Because when we took it to Kasarani, we lost quite some space, some edge with the rugby fans. And then when we didn't have it last year, also there was that distance place. So for us is to bridge that distance, bring it back to where people are. You know, it's like coming back home.
And now back to football. Former France forward Thierry Henry has agreed to become coach of Bordeaux, according to sources close to the league club. Henry Well, that does it for NTV tonight. But before we leave, there's a message here. There's a very nasty traffic snarl up that's piling between Mahiu and Kwambira. And someone has been caught in that traffic jam for many hours, and they're saying it's very, very ugly. You're not sure what's going on there, but if you are there or you have an idea what's happening there, of course you can follow us on our links. That's ntvkenya.co.ke/live, or you can post a message on our Twitter handle, or that's Twitter and Facebook, NTV Kenya.
All right, that brings us to the end of this edition of NTV Tonight. My name is Olive Barrows.
My name is Dennis Okaria. Our sign language presenter was Flora Atieno. Good night.